Hello and welcome to Love and Flowers and You with Dr. Jennifer Love in Los Angeles and Dr. Michelle Flowers in Chicago, and I'm international journalist Marina Hutchinson in Atlanta. Dr. Love and Dr. Flowers are medical doctors who have more than 30 combined years of practice as psychiatrists. They have worked with thousands of patients in their busy practices, and with my journalistic guidance, they hope to share what they have learned with others who may not have the time, money, or access to speak with a top expert. This show is not intended to provide medical advice. It is a place for learning about and sharing the human experience, a place where you will laugh and be inspired to become your best self. In their offices, Michelle and Jennifer are physicians. Here they are, your friends. And today, start us off, Jennifer, what we're going to talk about in this episode.
Our topic today is why don't I want to do the things I want to do?
Okay, and tell us more about that.
Well, we all have these things we want to do. I want to exercise. I want to eat healthy. I want to clean out my garage, or at least I want to have a garage that's cleaned out. Or, I want to clean up my closets. There's all these things that I want to do, but how come when it comes right down to it, I don't do them because I don't want to? That's the topic.
Okay, so you, and the answer, do you have a solution to it?
No, nothing. I mean, that's where Michelle comes in. I've got nothing.
Hey, Michelle, then it's up to you. Figure it out for us.
I mean, there are plenty of things that I don't do that I want to do.
Okay.
Clean out my closet is a good one. And I think it comes down to knowing what you want, which is a harder thing because we underestimate how much we operate on habit, I think, right? So you're going to do what you've always done, mostly. And there is this Thomas Jefferson quote that I shared with you guys before that I really, I think about this a lot. And it, give me a second. It goes like this. If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done.
Love that.
Yeah, interesting.
Love
I was thinking this morning about something you just said about habit and how hard it is to break habits. And Warren Buffett says chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. And there's this reason, kind of evolutionarily speaking, that we get into habits, and habits are safe. And when we're in a routine, that's safe. And when humans used to wander from place to place, when you get into a new place, you have to be on high alert. Are there wolves in the area? Where are the bears? Are there neighboring tribes who are unfriendly or going to threaten us? And so moving around carries with it inherently the sense of stress. And so even though we don't live in these societies where we kind of move around and have to worry about wolves, we are still wired the same way. And so we are wired to kind of start having this adrenal stress response with the idea of change. The thought of making changes causes stress. And so that already starts the process of having like an internal resistance built in to making changes, even though they're things we want to do. I want to fit into a size whatever pair of jeans, I want to do that. But when it comes to doing the things that require that, then I don't want to, even though I want to.
So are we always going to be stuck in that I want to do, but I'm not going to do the things I need to do it, so I'm just always kind of not moving forward?
Yes, Marina, it's completely hopeless.
I don't think it has to be, but it's like we've talked about before. It begins with awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you could do is just start keeping track of how you're spending your days. And don't, I love to do this for people. I tell them, don't change a thing. I don't want you to change. Let's say you want to eat healthier. Well, for this next 2 weeks, I don't want you to eat any differently. I just want you to record in writing, what are you eating, or on an app or whatever. And people will come back to me all the time and say, I lost 2 pounds. Just from being aware of what they were eating. So sometimes change doesn't require these great things. It just requires some awareness.
And Jennifer, when researching this topic, what have you come up with that you think are the good things to share?
Well, sometimes you can kind of get into this fake it till you make it mode. And I think that's actually very helpful when it comes to the behavioral techniques of change. I think it was Henry Ford who said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Mm-hmm. Something like that. I'm not quoting him exactly. But there is this idea of, changing those behaviors to make it easier to change future behaviors. I mean, if I can get kind of a little nerdy for a minute, we have this part of our brain in the frontal lobe called the anterior cingulate gyrus, which is a horrible Latin name, and this is why no one should ever go to medical school, because it has all these really weird things. But this is a part of the brain that's supposed to help with flexibility and shifting gears, and it malfunctions when people have something like obsessive compulsive disorder, where they have a thought about a germ and then they wash their hands all day long compulsively, and they can't stop that. But many people have kind of, misfiring in this brain area genetically more than others. And so that can make people even a little bit more resistant to making changes and more creatures of habit. And so we think if we have brains that are wired to avoid change because of the adrenal stress system, and some of us are genetically wired to avoid change because we have these overactive anterior cingulate gyruses. So how do we kind of overcome these internal resistances that are kind of inherent to us? So how can we, if we decide I want to turn in my term papers this semester, not at the last minute, but ahead of time, how can I actually do that and not keep pushing myself to the last minute, or putting off starting eating healthy, or putting off exercise, or putting off cleaning out Michelle's closet?
Michelle, is your closet a mess?
My life is a mess right now because it's basketball season.
Oh, okay, and you're busy.
And I have 2 kids playing basketball, and I constantly have to choose, am I going to go watch a game, or am I going to clean out my closet? And sometimes I have to choose between work and cleaning out my closet, but my closet generally comes low on my priority list, which for now, for now, the highest priority is having happy kids who have seen my face every once in a while, supporting them, and other things just move to the bottom. And I think that's okay. I think part of it is, part of the awareness piece is saying, what are my choices? That's my word of the year, choice. It's not that I'm not doing things that I want to do. It's that there are other things that I want to do more.
Yeah, I get that completely. I have the same closet issue, and I'm very protective of my closet. When somebody will criticize my closet, it's because I take care of me last. And it's really symbolic of how we kind of put everything that needs to be hidden away in the closet, or something you need to deal with in the closet. And then you just, the closet becomes a big mess.
Yes, it's so funny. I did an interview, and I was talking about, actually not a closet, but the kitchen junk drawer, and how you just shove everything into this space, so when people come over, it's all nice and neat. But if you don't clean out your junk drawer, it just starts overflowing and it becomes chaotic. And I was talking about how we all have these internal kitchen junk drawers, and every once in a while, we have to clean this stuff out, or you just run out of room and it becomes kind of chaotic and disorganized in there, and you can't find anything. And so that's funny that you mentioned that, because you have this literal closet, Marina, that's full of all your stuff, but inside you also have this closet that's full of all your stuff that we need to be cleaning out. So, but anyway, what I would ask you about your actual literal closet, not your figurative closet, or what you have in there, although I do believe that would make a fabulous podcast.
Yes.
I should do the next episode of what is in Marina's closet.
And what's in Michelle's closet. A lot of the same things.
Right. Maybe. Yeah. But looking at, one, how much time is this actually going to take? How can you divide this up? And what are the steps? And Michelle, you know, I'll ask you to just kind of start with this. Like, what would you do to get someone moving toward, like, how do I get Marina to clean out her closet?
I need a week.
Well, if I was Marina's psychiatrist, I would be taking issue probably with this "you put yourself last" thing.
Yes.
And I would ask her, like I said, I would say, all right, let's see your time log for this last 2 weeks. What does it look like? Are you spent 80% of your free time working or on somebody else, and then 20% of your free time getting ready for something for somebody else? What is left for you?
Exactly. Not a lot. And that's, I think, the issue for a lot of moms and a lot of wives, that, you know, you just tend to do everything for everyone. And then when you throw it in this age, you know, where you're working and you're being a mom, you really have like 2 jobs. So it really, you know, it's really hard to find that time.
And not all of our mothers taught us how to create a time for our own rejuvenation or re-energizing or just a break or feeding ourselves with joy. But flight attendants do.
Oh, really? Why do you say that?
Every flight you're on, the flight attendant says, if you're traveling with a small child and the oxygen masks drop, put one on yourself and then take care of your child, because they know that you are both more likely to die if you don't address your own oxygen issue first. You'll have a better brain to manage your child's brain. And the same thing is true with what we do in our everyday lives. You know, I take a lot of heat sometimes because I put my own fitness as a high priority most of the time.
Who gives you heat on that?
I have family members and friends that are like, wow, why do you do that? How can you do that? I have to do that because that's my oxygen mask. If my brain isn't working and my physical fitness isn't good, nobody really wants that much to be around me anyway.
Okay, I completely agree. That's a very important part of life.
Yes. You know, I had a patient who had multiple children. I stopped counting when people get over like 3, 4, 5, like close to double that. And she had this problem where she had this like a slow GI bleed, and every once in a while she'd have to go in and actually get a blood transfusion. And she wasn't going in, she wasn't seeing the doctors. And I kept saying, you know, this is a really serious thing. We have your blood work, your hemoglobin is really low. Like, you're at risk of having stroke and all these things. And she said, well, this one has soccer and this one is this and this one is that. And this one's struggling with his wife because some were kids and some were grownups. And I just said, you cannot be you if you are not alive. You have to take care of yourself, and you will be a better mom and to all of these children if you're there. And I'm sure they would all agree with me. And, you know, Marina, when you think about this closet and all the time you have on your family and kids, when you clean that out and how good you feel when you actually do that, you carry that positive energy as a ripple effect to the people around you, and you actually can enjoy the time you have with them a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels very good. It feels very positive when I say, I almost feel like there's a link between my brain and my closet, that when the closet is clean and neat, that my life is together.
It's true. It's true. And I'm the worst at this. It's something that I am seriously putting on the shelf to work on later. But
I'm sure.
It's absolutely true that your home, I think particularly for women, is a reflection of your internal state. Yes. So it's just like, you know, you can learn about things that are going on in your unconscious mind if you pay attention to what's going on in your body. You can learn about things that are going on in your unconscious mind if you pay attention to your dreams. You can learn about things that are going on in your unconscious process if you look at your home.
Yes. When I'm stressed, when I feel my life is out of control and chaotic, when I'm working on so many things at once and I'm starting to feel stressed, I look around at my bedroom and I think, why is it so dumpy in here? You know, because I am always neat and clean. Why is there laundry there? Why are my socks on the floor and I didn't put them in the hamper? Like, what's wrong? Like, that whole environment starts starting to reflect your internal state. And then your internal state feeds off of that. It's kind of this kind of back and forth, the subconscious back and forth. That's really interesting to know. You know, why is everything piled up in the sink? Well, everything's piled up in my brain right now. And so you can actually start with the physical thing in front of you, and then the mental stuff starts kind of seeping away, and it's easier to get at that sometimes when you do these things.
But then there are times like basketball season, Michelle, that it's just overwhelming how much stuff needs to be done. And you do have to kind of triage and say, well, this gets priority.
It's true. It's true. And I think there's something to be said for the seasons. You know, I tried to read to my oldest daughter, the Little House on the Prairie series. And we didn't get very far because it was dry for my modern girl. But there's the part that I remember so vividly is their harvest season, and then they come in for the winter and they're done. You know, they're in tune with the cycle of the planet in this series. And so for the winter, they're sitting there, they're making one toy that they're each going to get for Christmas. And that's going to be their thing to cherish and play with. And they are taking a break from other activities. So I think if I want to be smart about my closet, what I'll do is look at my calendar last year or the last couple of years and say, is there a break in here somewhere that I can schedule in closet cleaning?
And then have you figured that out?
No. I'm going to figure it out. This year I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, because that's the fact that there's always something that comes on top, and there's always something that needs to be dealt with ahead of other things. Any other thoughts, Jennifer, on what you want? Because also I was thinking sometimes, you know, in when we're talking about what we want in life, that sometimes we get so much noise in our heads, and sometimes we're not doing what we want, and we're doing what others want us to do or what we think we should be doing. So again, the topic of what we want, sometimes it gets really muddy.
Yeah. Well, when I think about how to do what you want to do, figuring out what you want, I think is like probably an entirely different topic for us to dive into. But I tell people, write out 3 things you want to do. Whether it's I want to exercise, I want to eat healthy, I want to clean out the closet, write it out. And then write down with pen and paper, what is preventing you from doing that? Because we have to know, you have to think about these things, you have to name it. So am I so rushed that, you know, I'm just fast food is easy? Am I just so exhausted, or it's winter and I don't want to get cold, or I don't want to get sweaty and I just want to sit and feel cozy in this chair all night? You know, what is the thing that's keeping me from doing it? Is it I feel stressed because I want to self-soothe with ice cream? You know, what is it? And then I tell people the third thing is to write it out. In theory, what is the simple solution to this? And I say in theory because it doesn't mean you're committing to doing this. We all know the answers. So this episode isn't about not knowing how to do things. We know how to do them. The problem is we don't want to do them. Not that we don't know how to do them. I know how to exercise. Unfortunately, I know how. There's no excuse. I know how to eat healthy. I'm a physician. You know, there's no excuse. But this isn't about learning how to do it. This is about forcing yourself to do it. So what is a simple solution? So prepping dishes ahead. So at that last minute, when all I want to do is eat in 5 minutes because I've been busy all day and I think my only choice is stopping and getting the fast food or having a delivery, if I've actually taken a day and prepped ahead of time, I have it done. That's a theoretical thing that I can do. I'm not committing to it. You know, I can drink chamomile tea instead of eating ice cream after dinner, you know, for people who are having these sugar cravings and want to self-soothe. I can find other solutions. I can go for a 15-minute walk. So the big thing that I have people do is I say, think ahead 1 hour. And 1 hour from now, we will all be alive, most of us, okay? Hopefully all of us. And so if I'm sitting here feeling cozy in this chair, 1 hour from now, I can be sitting here feeling cozy in the chair. Will I feel better if I've sat here for this hour being cozy, or if I've gotten up, done 20 minutes of exercise, taken a quick shower, and come back to feel cozy? So if I think ahead 1 hour, if I spend 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes doing something I don't want to do, when I come back in this hour, how am I going to feel? Because when we start that forward motion, even with small little things, it creates the space for us to do more and more. It behaviorally starts overriding that part of the brain I mentioned, the anterior cingulate gyrus, that resists change. So if you play it ahead 1 hour and then you do it and you come back and in that hour you go, wow, I actually feel better. Then that anterior cingulate learns something. Maybe stubbornness, maybe immobility isn't everything. And so that's just how I kind of get people started making these tiny little changes when they really don't want to.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip.
Michelle, well, that's our challenge for you, Marina, the 1 hour challenge.
The 1 hour challenge. Well, I was just thinking that the other day when I had to do Zumba, I was supposed to do exercise. I thought, I really need this hour of resting. And I kind of, will I exercise? Will I give myself? And sometimes usually I've been very good. I've been religiously good. But this week I was just so overwhelmed. It's rare. When I tell my friends I didn't go Zumba on Saturday, they know I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, well,
so I have wet hair today because I am in the middle of this fitness challenge where you have to do 20 classes in 28 days.
Oh, good for you.
So today I did 2 because I know that I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow. My day is full, and I've been thoughtful about planning this out, but I also knew that I needed this challenge. I needed to complete something. So I bumped it up the priority list. One of my tricks is looking at your calendar and looking at your options and saying, okay, where are the dominoes here? Like, what is the thing that if I choose this thing, a few of these others are going to get easier? And for me, that thing is exercise. So if I prioritize exercise, other things in my life get easier because I sleep better, my brain works better, and I'm happier. And so then there's less, arguing or fighting with kids or whatever it is. And so I actually gain time by investing in that.
Exactly.
It's funny you bring up the exercise because I just saw my doctor 2 days ago, and I haven't seen a doctor in years, right? Because I am a doctor and all my friends are doctors. So we call each other and we're like, oh, I have the flu, or I have this, or I have that. And we do just about everything for each other, but gyne exams, right? So
that's a fun party though, right?
That's a fun party, she said.
So that'll be a different podcast. So one of the things, of course, that came up is, we talk about exercise. And so I'm actually making some goals for myself. I'm one of those people, I don't like exercise. I was an athlete and I was forced into this when I was a kid. And just for years and years and years, you're up at 5 a.m, you're in this freezing cold pool. And I just don't find joy in exercise. But once I kind of get into a routine, I start finding joy in it. So I've been sitting here digging my heels in, reluctantly taking myself out on walks and stuff going, oh, I'm getting exercise. And the reality is we need 150 minutes of cardio a week just to be healthy. 150 minutes. So what I'm doing, and I have a lot of internal resistance, but I'm starting this Monday morning, that I have just in my home. I have this little elliptical machine. I'm going to do 10 minutes before my shower in the morning. And when I get home, before I do anything else, I'm hopping on, I'm doing 20 minutes. And I'm going to do that 5 days a week just to get started. Now, ideally, cardio, you're going to go in bigger blocks in just 10 minutes or 20 minutes. That's how I'm going to get myself started. So I'll have a little accountability from you, and I'm going to be able to practice what I preach. In an hour, how am I going to feel if I do this or if I don't do this? So you can ask me about it later and we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's better to do 10 minutes than nothing. And at least it takes away the excuse that I don't have a half hour. In fact, what I do often to remind myself, this is a little bit crazy, but that's what I do. One, if I get up to go to the bathroom, I do drink water. So I remind myself to drink water. So I'll have a glass of water. But another thing I'll do is that I'll just find a place and I'll put some towels on my hands and I'll do 10 push-ups. So I try to do that, a few times a day just to get because I do need that upper body strength. And often when you're sitting a lot, I get back pain. So I just try and, kind of reverse some of the damage from all that sitting that I do by doing push-ups.
And you're touching on something that's, I think a lot of people struggle with, which is we have a tendency to make it more complicated. I do this all the time. We have a tendency to make it more complicated than it needs to be. You don't have to find the right gym and join the right gym. You can start where you're at and get 10 push-ups. And every time you use the restroom, fill up your water bottle. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those small victories lead to further victories. And now you have some momentum going. And then 6 months later, you're like, okay, now I'm ready for a gym. And that's just fine, as long as you're moving in a direction.
Exactly.
Decreasing the steps it takes from where I am right now to exercising. So I tell people, the best thing to do is, you want to throw exercise into transitions, because once you come home and sit on the couch, you're going to stay on the couch. So what you need to do is come home and you drop off your keys and you are immediately out the door with your family or whoever is there, and you're walking as fast as you can for 10 minutes, and then you turn around in 10 minutes back to your house. So it's at the time when you come in. You don't have to have on fancy sneakers. You don't have to have on gym clothes. Just start. And I used to come home when I lived in Hawaii, I'd come home and put on flip-flops because I hated being in like work shoes. So I would just run flip-flops and either, go for a walk or hop on the elliptical machine in my flip-flops, because it was always like, oh, do I have anything that's clean? What am I going to wear to the gym? I feel fat today in my yoga pants. I don't want anyone to see me. There are 100 excuses. And so when you just think, as you are right now, get out and go for a walk and come back, that's a good way to get started. Once you start doing that more and more, your body starts craving more exercise the more you do it. And so then you'll get more excited and you'll have a little bit more motivation to put on your gym clothes and go and do like the workouts you need to be doing. For older women, we need to be doing bone density stuff. So, we do doing weights and weight bearing and that kind of thing. So you can get into that, but you start with these little steps. You start by decreasing the number of things you have to do to get to that end product.
That's interesting that you say that the body craves more exercise. Can you explain that a little bit more about how that works?
Well, for those of us who are creatures of habit, the more we start doing something, the more we like that routine of doing something. So I'm not naturally programmed to love exercise, but the more I do it, and then my body starts learning, you feel good with this. Or, oh, your pants are getting a little loose. That part feels really good. You start building up these internal motivators along the way. And then again, that repetitive behavior overrides the tendencies of that anterior cingulate gyrus that give the resistance in the first place. And so you're actually retraining your brain into a new habit and routine. And then the resistance that comes from that crisis response adrenal gland to change calms down. And so with creating the new behavior, you're decreasing the barriers you have, the natural barriers you have to making changes.
And I really like that idea of coming home and taking a walk, especially with family. It'd be, for me, an opportunity to walk with my son and talk about his day instead of just sitting down in the living room where we usually do this, to kind of, multitask and see the outside and talk to the neighbors and get some fresh air. So I like that. That's a good tip.
That's a great example for your kids too. Because maybe your son gets a ton of exercise, Michelle's kids do sports, they may be getting it, but they're seeing that you are now prioritizing your exercise, your health, and them. And so it's an activity for the two of you to do together. I have even patients of mine who have small kids. I say, throw them in the stroller and go. You're creating memories and you're getting your exercise and demonstrating to them that you need self-care to be a healthy, well-rounded adult.
Michelle, any last thoughts before we round off this episode?
There's one hack that I would like to share with you. Awesome. Because it builds on what Jennifer was saying. So let's say that you decide, I want to start taking walks with my son. And you usually walk in the door and go and start dinner right away. My suggestion would be to you to have him meet you before you even walk in the door, right? Or to have your stuff, to get ready for your walk before you leave your office.
Okay.
So because of this old habit thing. So if you want to do something different, a way to trick your brain is to not put it back in the place and then have to resist that default setting that says, oh, here I am. This is what I always do. Do something easier sooner so that you don't get in that situation. It's like if you have somebody who's trying to stop drinking, but they want to go on to the same bar they've hung out with their friends on Friday nights and got blasted every Friday night for the last 52 weeks. Well, that's not going to happen. You're going to walk in that bar and you're going to see your friends and they're going to be drinking. And no matter how much you want to have a water instead, your brain is going to be fighting you just because of the habit. So see if there's something you can do easy, like meet your friends on a Saturday morning for an exercise class, so that you can still see them, but you're not putting yourself in that situation where the default takes over.
Good. So we're out of time. Last thoughts? We can go forward and close it up for this week.
I think you have 1 hour.
Well, great seeing you guys. And thanks to our audience for joining us. Send us your questions and meet us again for our next show and episode on love and flowers and you. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
And if you have any questions on this topic or others you want answers or possible solutions for, email us at loveandflowersandyou@gmail.com. So it is all spelled out. Love, L-O-V-E, and A-N-D, flowers, and you @gmail.com. loveandflowersandyou@gmail.com. That's the email. And please don't forget to subscribe and download the podcast so you don't miss out on any of this life-transforming information. Tune in to our next episode as Michelle and Jennifer continue guiding you to discover your own light and give you the tools on your path to a more fulfilling life.